was 5 years old when I first met her. She was the daughter of my boss then, Mr. R.C. Singh, who is now,
Yes, I remember.
now he is in the UN and, still in the UN and posted at Dhaka. So Ishita
Okay.
is like a small baby, and it's always good. You find how time flies, that the small babies have
It
become,
does.
MDs. So she's become a
Absolutely.
pediatrician, and she can now day. Yeah. So
Yes, please, looking forward to it.
yeah, Ishita. So I, of course, know that you have been working for almost more than a year last year in Delhi, in one of the public hospitals
Yes.
of Delhi. And so I was wondering if you could share with us your experience of what you observed about, why this kind of spread is occurring, and what people could do better to avoid getting infected, and even if people are infected, that what are the do's and don'ts, that people, what comes to mind is that one should not panic, and to have the mental resilience, even if one is going down, to have some faith in one's abilities to get over the disease, and how bad it is to be infected, considering the fact that there are a number of deaths happening, and how a person can escape getting infected, number one, and once infected, what are the do's and don'ts in your opinion?
Yeah.
So I think what we all have been dealing with since past 1 year, I think now this time, unfortunately, because of the second wave, now we're understanding truly what it means to be in a pandemic. We were
Yeah.
Absolutely.
quite fortunate to have had a light first wave. So people really did have a lot of energy and enthusiasm for the lockdown and the restrictions initially. But जो हम देख रहे हैं, सब लोग काफी फटीग हो रहे हैं. And हम ही नहीं, common man भी, politicians भी, I think everybody at some level is getting a bit fatigued. But it's coming at a wrong time because this second wave is different. And this is truly what a pandemic means. And I have not lived in one before. Neither has any of other of my colleagues. We're all same generation. The last
Even
known
we have
pandemic
also
which
not.
the world saw was
We are
just the
also not
Spanish
that
flu.
old.
And I
Yeah.
have been researching, I've been reading a lot about all the past pandemics, how humanity and mankind dealt with it at that time. There were not one but two, three, four waves. So I think what we need to learn is to hold on tight and continue doing the measures that we can at individual level for at least much longer time than we thought. We all thought 1 year hai, everything is okay, Diwali started, Holi's come up and we're okay. But science, I mean nature, illness, diseases, this is a new disease. As much as we know now, we still will keep knowing a lot more as time comes. In fact, 10 years later, we'll look back and we'll know lessons 10 साल बाद भी जो आज हम चाह के भी नहीं पता कर सकते, because research takes time. So I think the medicine, I'm speaking from the medicine doctor's world point of view, we don't have all the entire answers yet, but as we are getting the information, medicines and drugs and vaccines are coming, we are on top of it, and people need to have patience, and we also need to have patience with science and nature as a whole, and really continue doing the basic things. Just do not move out unnecessarily, social distancing, and avoid meeting people. It's as simple as that. We have so many other countries जिन्होंने काफी अच्छे से ब्रेक किया है इस चीज को. हाँ, definitely. I mean, the number one country performing was Taiwan. There's no point comparing India and Taiwan. The population is too.
Vaccine is a miracle. This is one of the first this scale ke pandemics ki we have a vaccine so quickly, not just one. We have like 4, 5. 2 are already being distributed. 3, 4 are in the pipeline. Science is working round the clock to get things available. And vaccination up to 18 plus को भी मिल गई है. So definitely, please everybody get vaccinated patiently. और जिनको टाइम है मिलने को वैक्सीन, तो वो प्लीज इन द मीन टाइम डू नॉट लेट गो ऑफ द रिस्ट्रिक्शंस एंड द मेजर्स, कंटिन्यू करें, वैक्सीन लें, सब वैक्सीन सेफ हैं. दिस इज द ओनली वे फॉरवर्ड. या तो आपको इन्फेक्शन से आप स्ट्रांग बने इम्यूनिटी, या तो वैक्सीन लेके स्ट्रांग बने.
Yeah, in fact, I was in a meeting today and there was one officer who had been, he had recently suffered from COVID and recovered from it. So I was explaining something, so I said कि आप ना mask निकालो तो आप safe हो. But then having said that, then I felt that, yes, but then people are getting infected again also. So there are so many
Absolutely.
things which we need to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
वेरिएंट्स
and,
बहुत सारे हैं, हर कंट्री का अलग वेरिएंट है, हर स्टेट का अलग वेरिएंट है. महाराष्ट्र,
But
विदर्भ में काफी
Ishita,
अलग अलग वेरिएंट्स आ रहे हैं.
what I wanted to know, now is are facing. So you have some
जी.
idea about that what are our doctors going through and what kind of support the public needs to give to them, instead of, if there is a death taking place, instead of breaking the doctor's head and glasses and the hospital furniture, would it not be better that we have patience with our frontline workers? So maybe if you explain that what our doctors are going through, it would be helpful.
Yeah.
Losing a loved one is never easy for anyone. And in fact, I would like to start by saying that, especially the permanent loss, death in a family member while being treated is a shock to anyone. चाहे कोई कितना भी prepared हो, कोई पेशेंट एजेड हो, कि कोई पेशेंट हेल्थ के वर्कर्स पे, कि हम अच्छे से सिचुएशन हैंडल करें और सबसे पहले पेशेंट को दिलासा दें, उसके दर्द को थोड़ा सहारा दें. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. काफी सिचुएशंस में इमोशंस आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल थोड़े हो जाते हैं, बट आई थिंक द ओनली सोल्यूशन फॉरवर्ड इज इफ वी आर एबल टू empathize with each other, doctors with the patients, ki yes, whom we lost is not just a patient, also is a someone's family member, and we also should give, if not just 2 minutes, at least 5 minutes of dedicated time to the family to support them, to be with their loss also. Families respond very well, we have seen. जब डॉक्टर्स भी ओवरवेल्म होते हैं और रिलेटिव्स भी कुछ ज्यादा ओवरवेल्म हो जाते हैं, दोनों तरफ से जब एक प्रॉब्लम मिसमैच हो जाती है तो अनफॉर्चुनेट सिचुएशन होती है, एंड मैम विल नो बेटर देन लॉ एनफोर्समेंट हैज टू कम इन टू मिडिल एंड इंटरवीन एंड ऑल बिकम्स वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट. हाँ, इस बार ये है कि डॉक्टर्स आर वी आर रियली फिजिकली मेंटली पुश टू द ब्रिंक, टू द लिमिट. मतलब नॉर्मली चलिए ड्यूटी होती है 8 घंटे 12 घंटे की, हफ्ते में एक बार 2 बार. नॉट वन फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन, नॉट वन कॉलीग हु इज नॉट एग्जॉस्टेड डूइंग कॉन्स्टेंट ड्यूटीज. मैन पावर को ज्यादा ड्यूटी करनी पड़ रही है. सो यस, वी आर ऑल इवन मोर एग्जॉस्टेड देन यूजुअल. And if family members also understand, we also feel frustrated when we lose a patient whom we can't touch as much as we want to, and we can't comfort the family also as we want to. We are also feeling frustrated, and they're also just as frustrated. It was so the physical distancing भी आ गई है. No doctor even likes that much कि just देख के patient का इलाज करें, अच्छा जितना हो सके कम touch करें. Especially I'm a pediatrician. We're all about being really close and personal with the babies, and comforting them. If the mother is not there, it's the sisters and us, we all come together to comfort, care for the baby. It's very difficult in these situations also. Parents are bound to feel more neglected. Patients are bound to feel कि हमको उतना ध्यान नहीं दिया जा रहा है, but ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. इस सिचुएशन में डॉक्टर्स भी उतने ही परेशान हैं, उतने भी काफी अफेक्टेड हैं जितने की ह्यूमंस है, बाकी लोग हैं. वी हैव आल्सो लॉस्ट मेनी फैमिली मेंबर्स अमंग्स द कम्युनिटी. वी आर आल्सो डीलिंग विद लॉसेस ऑफ कॉलीग्स, ऑफ फ्रेंड्स आल्सो. It's affecting everyone uniformly.
So, Dr. Ishita, just one question. As we all know, this is a nation of very indisciplined people, and moreover, everyone thinks they are PhDs and they have direct connection with WHO or whatever. And every day there are nonsense messages on WhatsApp, and people will vouch for it that this has come directly from WHO or some top doctor from AIMS or whatever. I mean, no one knows that from where that message is being generated, and it is total filth which is being fed into the minds of people. How if you can just briefly tell people who should they believe and what is the information center they should believe blindly and not give too much of attention to these, especially the WhatsApp news.
इसका आपके सवाल में ही जवाब है ना, बस ये व्हाट्सएप यूनिवर्सिटी बंद हो जानी चाहिए बस। आप अपने जो हर एक फैमिली के फिजिशियन होते हैं आप उनको फोन करिए, उनको जाके उनसे कंसल्ट करिए, बस आप एक इंसान से डायरेक्टली बात करेंगे, प्रैक्टिसिंग डॉक्टर से बात करेंगे, वो आपको क्लियर कट बता देगा नहीं ये चीजें एकदम एकदम फालतू हैं, ये चीजें आपके लिए सही हैं। बस वो ना वर्चुअल वर्ल्ड में फॉरवर्ड 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 टू ऑल होता है, सही बात एक थम्स अप एंड देयर इज रियली नो वेरिफिकेशन। यू शट डाउन योर फोन, पिक अप द कॉल योर फिजिशियन और आस्क अ फ्रेंड कि भाई मुझे फिजिशियन का नंबर दे, कंसल्ट का मुझे नंबर दे। All hospitals are doing video consults now because even if we can't see in person, WhatsApp video consultations are available. Any big hospital, Gangaram Hospital or like Delhi examples में दे सकती हूँ, अपोलो हॉस्पिटल है, मेदांता है, फोर्टिस हॉस्पिटल, they're all doing video consultations। आपको 5 minutes का डाउट है, आपको रिपोर्ट दिखानी है, आप फेस टू फेस बात कर ले डॉक्टर से। अपॉइंटमेंट अभी का नहीं, थोड़ी देर बाद का मिलेगा, कल मिलेगा डेफिनेट। और इमरजेंसी है तो फिर तो आपको तो इन पर्सन जाना ही पड़ेगा, बट ये घर बैठे वही ना व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड होले जा रहे हैं, उस पे लोग पैनिक हो जा रहे हैं। दिस इज व्हाट डॉक्टर गुलेरिया, द डायरेक्टर ऑफ एम्स, ही वाज सेइंग कि पीपल आर पैनिकिंग एंड डूइंग अननेसेसरी ब्लड टेस्ट कि फॉरवर्ड हो रहे हैं कि ये कराओ, आप अननेसेसरी दवाएं खा रहे हैं, टाइम से पहले खा रहे हैं, अननेसेसरी सीटी स्कैन्स हो रहे हैं, अननेसेसरी आप लोड बढ़ा रहे हैं और पैथ लैब्स पे और डॉक्टर्स पे, रेडियोलॉजिस्ट पे। जो नॉर्मल माइल्ड लोग हैं वो घर पे रहकर ठीक हो जाएंगे। आप deal with this, speak to your physician in person and help is there.
Right. And I mean it's just like in India before pandemic I'm talking about, मेरे को जुकाम हुआ, फ्लू हुआ, थोड़ा वो हुआ, one of my friends tells me okay 3 दिन azithromycin खा लो ठीक हो जाएगा। That trend is still going on. That is still going on even in the pandemic. What's happening? मेरे को भी होके हटा कोविड और मेरे किसी फ्रेंड को हुआ, अरे छोड़ यार क्या मैं तेरे को बताता हूँ ना, आइवरमेक्टिन लेनी है 5 दिन, एजिथ्रोमाइसिन लेनी है 5 दिन और सुबह शाम तू अपनी जिंकोविट खा ले, और ये दिस नॉनसेंस इज गोइंग ऑन, वेदर द पर्सन नीड्स इट और नॉट। एंड देन देयर आर पीपल, अरे तुमने स्टीरॉयड का शॉट नहीं लगाया, दैट इज द वर्स्ट थिंग व्हिच इज हैपनिंग। सो हाउ टू डील विद दैट काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग?
You don't, very few people need steroids. 85% of people will recover mildly at home with just अपना hydration and good diet and temperature control. That is it. आपकी जो साइन सिम्टम्स होते हैं डे 1, डे 2, डे 5 के आप मॉनिटर करते रहें, जो भी अबनॉर्मल सिम्टम्स लगे तुरंत जाके हॉस्पिटल में दिखाएं, डॉक्टर से मिलें। और स्टेरॉइड्स तो बहुत ही डेलिकेट एंड रिस्की दवाई होती है, लास्ट रिजॉर्ट है। यू शुड नॉट टेक इट इनडिस्क्रिमिनेटली, दिस इज फॉर एवरीवन। जो भी कोई सुन रहे हैं वो भी जल्दी लेंगे तो आप खुद को ही हानि पहुंचा रहे हैं,
Absolutely.
खुद को ही हानि पहुंचा रहे हैं। एंड जस्ट मोस्ट ऑफ देम विल रिकवर ऑन देयर ओन। इवन इफ वी डू सीटी स्कैन्स देयर विल बी सम पैचेस, पीपल विल पैनिक अगेन, अरे नहीं द पैच इज नॉर्मल, पैच विल कम बिकॉज बॉडी इज फाइटिंग द इन्फेक्शन, द पैच विल गो अवे। उसके लिए पैनिक नहीं होना है। हर दिन सीटी करा रहे हैं लोग, वो नहीं करना। आप अपने आप को रेडिएशन दे रहे हैं, एक्सपोज कर रहे हैं। दीज आर ऑल मतलब फ्रीक्वेंटली आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस वी आर आंसरिंग ऑन अ डेली बेसिस। तो स्पीक टू अ डॉक्टर एंड दैट्स इट। एंड जो सीवियर केसेस हैं, obviously family also understands now कि हाँ SpO2 drop हो रहा है कि hospital जाएं, doctors also know how to manage it. Mild ones will get better and no need to panic at home.
And before I go to Gurpreet, just last another question, when should people panic when let's say the oxygen level is dropping, it's gone to 92, 90, 89, 86, 87, when should people start panicking and take the person to the hospital?
सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो हम इस वे में देख रहे हैं कि वो सडन ड्रॉप इन SpO2. सो एवरीबडी कैन मॉनिटर एट होम. सब लोग आजकल बहुत टेक savvy हैं, सबके पास लेटेस्ट एप्स होती हैं, फोन्स होते हैं. एकदम आपने सही बोला, SpO2 मशीन घर पे एक होनी चाहिए डेफिनेटली, मिनिमम एक. अपना चेक करते रहें. 94 से कम हो रहा है, अगर कंसिस्टेंटली 94 से कम रह रहा है, 90, 91, 92 रह रहा है पूरे दिन में, अगर हर घंटे चेक कर रहे हैं, अगर 24 रीडिंग्स में से चलिए 2-3 ऊपर नीचे हो सकती है, बट अगर ज्यादातर कम रह रही हैं, पेशेंट को चक्कर आ रहा है, तकलीफ हो रही है, फटीग लग रहा है, सिर्फ सांस फूल रही है, देन डेफिनेटली इट इज इंडिकेशन आप तुरंत हॉस्पिटल जाएं। एंड जरूर प्रोबेबली आपको ऑक्सीजन थेरेपी लग सकती है। अगर SpO2 90 से कम हो रहा है, 80s में जा रहा है, देन तो इट इज अ वेरी डायर इमरजेंसी, तो तुरंत ही हॉस्पिटल जाएं, आपको शायद आईसीयू की जरूरत पड़ सकती है। तो 94 एक कट ऑफ रखा हुआ है, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99 इज गुड। चेक करते रहें, अपना रेगुलर ब्रीथिंग एक्सरसाइजेस करें। बुखार 102, 103 तक भी रह सकता है, बहुत लोगों का रह रहा है, दैट इज कंप्लीटली ओके, बट यू शुड नॉट हैव SpO2 फॉल। दूसरा, अगर अब आप पेशेंट हैं और किसी और बीमारी के भी साथ में, ब्लड प्रेशर है, आपको डायबिटीज है, सपोज ऑनगोइंग कैंसर ट्रीटमेंट चल रहा है, बाकी और कोई लॉन्ग टर्म इलनेसेस हैं, अगर इस इन्फेक्शन के लोड की वजह से आपकी दूसरी बीमारी पे इफेक्ट हो रहा है, देन यस, देन आल्सो यू शुड सीक हेल्प। मतलब आप अपना डेली बीपी मेजर करते रहे, शुगर्स चेक में रखें। अगर आपके बच्चे को एस्थमा है, बच्चे को सपोज कोविड हो गया है, ही इज गेटिंग एस्थमा, तो उसको अगर नेबुलाइजर की जरूरत पड़ रही है ज्यादा, तो फिर डेफिनेटली हॉस्पिटल अगर इस इन्फेक्शन के लोड की वजह से आपकी दूसरी बीमारी पे इफेक्ट हो रहा है, देन यस, देन आल्सो यू शुड सीक हेल्प। मतलब आप अपना डेली बीपी मेजर करते रहे, शुगर्स चेक में रखें। अगर आपके बच्चे को एस्थमा है, बच्चे को सपोज कोविड हो गया है, ही इज गेटिंग एस्थमा, तो उसको अगर नेबुलाइजर की जरूरत पड़ रही है ज्यादा, तो फिर डेफिनेटली हॉस्पिटल अगर इस इन्फेक्शन के लोड की वजह से आपकी दूसरी बीमारी पे इफेक्ट हो रहा है, देन यस, देन आल्सो यू शुड सीक हेल्प। मतलब आप अपना डेली बीपी मेजर करते रहे, शुगर्स चेक में रखें। अगर आपके बच्चे को एस्थमा है, बच्चे को सपोज कोविड हो गया है, ही इज गेटिंग एस्थमा, तो उसको अगर नेबुलाइजर की जरूरत पड़ रही है ज्यादा, तो फिर डेफिनेटली हॉस्पिटल
हो जाए, छुट्टी में घर रेस्ट करे तो बीवी लेजी बतलाए, हार्ड वर्क कर कर के मोटी सैलरी घर पे लाए, 2 पैग संग चिल करे तो बीवी को नहीं भाई। मेरे यारों सुनो शिप्पी की कहानी, मेरे यारों सुनो हाँ मेरी कहानी, शिप और रिलेशनशिप में फंस गई जवानी, शिप और रिलेशनशिप में फंस गई जवानी, फंस गई रे।
पिक्चर देखने जाऊं, थोड़ी शॉपिंग भी कर आऊं, ऐसे स्वीट लिटिल से सपने मैं मन में रोज सजाऊं, पर आते ही फेर दे ये खुशियों पे पानी, शिप से
मिलिसेस हैं, अगर इस इन्फेक्शन के लोड की वजह से आपकी दूसरी बीमारी पे इफेक्ट हो रहा है, देन यस, देन आल्सो यू शुड सीक हेल्प। मतलब आप अपना डेली बीपी मेजर करते रहे, शुगर्स चेक में रखें। अगर आपके बच्चे को एस्थमा है, बच्चे को सपोज कोविड हो गया है, इफ ही इज गेटिंग एस्थमा, तो उसको अगर नेबुलाइजर की जरूरत पड़ रही है ज्यादा तो फिर डेफिनेटली हॉस्पिटल
going to start. So I was wondering aloud that whether, I hope that better things will happen in 2021. So everybody was blaming 2020. So it turns out that 2021 is even worse.
Even worse.
And and everybody has been, the government, almost all the medical experts have been caught unawares, I would say, that people were not able to predict that the second wave would be this intense, that it would be so ferocious, and the infection rate would be much higher, and the fatalities also are higher this way around, and with the resultant pressure on the hospitals, doctors, and all the frontline workers. So what you said about, we us being an indisciplined country, I think that, lack of awareness and lack of discipline. So this is kind of a consequence. If you are unaware, also indisciplined, because you don't know the move around without masks, but I think it is more to do with lack of awareness than because of the indiscipline per se. Because people are not aware that wherever people become aware now, with so many deaths happening, people have become aware the hard way. But people now feel that even now, if we maintain a little social distancing, it will be fine. But the fact is that knowledge factor is that this time a cloth mask is not enough. So myself, last year I never even bought this N95 mask. But this time I went to the market and bought N95 masks for the entire family. Because, and with strict instructions to everybody that, if you have to go out of the house, use N95 and double mask if possible. And, it is, masking is, especially in the warm weather, it is a little difficult. You ask the doctors, who have to mask up. Sometimes they are asked to wear PPE. So doctor friends tell me that it is virtually impossible to wear PPE in the summer months. And what you can do is, the best you can do is that wear a good N95 mask and they are available for about rupees 50 to 60 rupees in the market. And I think it is we are keeping ourselves safe and also keeping safe other people by masking. And secondly, the vaccine thing. There are many people. In fact, one of my friends, she lost her father-in-law 2 3 days back. So I just asked her whether he had been vaccinated. So she said no, he was a very fit person. He was about 85 years old, but he had never in his life, succumbed to any disease. He used to know all we're talking about those home remedies, and quite used to advise the entire family and had kept himself very fit. So he had this kind of feeling that mujhe kuch nahi hoga, which is kind of a fallacious when the infection rate is so
जी
high. So even the best of people with high immunity levels, they may fall prey. One of my colleagues today was in the same meeting in which I told you about, the he was saying ki I have tested myself negative thrice and I am highly immune and mujhe kuch nahi hota. So,
नहीं,
I
still
feel
not the
that
correct way
kind
to
of,
be.
no, but I felt that that is the wrong attitude to have.
Yes, wrong
When,
attitude,
when,
wrong
Ab-
attitude.
when in a pandemic, if, educated, police officers who are supposed to know better are talking like this, so what can we expect from,
Yeah.
people who are not that well educated, whose exposure is limited? So I
right.
would say that we are suffering not only because of lack of awareness, but also the lack of the governments to continuously ignore the health sector. And I personally feel that last year was a wake up call for the governments. If you look at the funding for government for public health, it is only
It
3% of
is,
the total budget. So
and
3%.
3% से भी only 0.34% actually comes down to health. They include so many other things in that
Yeah.
3%. To
Yes.
get the
So
NHP target of 3%, you need to still double health budget to 0.63%, which is what they should have done at least by this year in the middle of a pandemic, but they still haven't realized that. And this
yeah.
has not been happening today. It is ingrained since inception of India and budgeting. We've always given much less investment into the
Priority.
health
Yeah.
department and much more to other departments. At least some
Yeah.
pandemic should have probably woken them up. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I also feel, Ishita, that last year was a golden opportunity. It was
Opportunity which was missed on multiple levels.
yeah, it was a kind of
But
a wake up
coming back
call.
to the vaccination point, ma'am, I wanted to add on something. Many people today are still resisting vaccination and they're doubting it, saying कि हमने तो वैक्सीन ली एक डोज फिर भी हमको इन्फेक्शन हो गया तो वैक्सीन इनफेक्टिव है. ऐसा नहीं है. वैक्सीन्स नेवर क्लेम कि आपको इन्फेक्शन कभी नहीं होगा. This is not just for the COVID vaccine. This is for most of the vaccine जो हम अपने बच्चों को देते हैं देते आ रहे हो. निमोनिया की वैक्सीन हो कि डायरिया की वैक्सीन हो कि पोलियो की वैक्सीन हो कितने टेटनस की वैक्सीन हो. All the vaccines role and function is to help the body fight the infection which you eventually might get it. So even if you have one dose, you can still get COVID. Even if you've taken two doses, you can still get COVID. But sure shot, जो research दिखा रही है कि you will have a milder variety of COVID. It is you may not be needing serious admission, and at least you will not be needing ventilators. You might even escape death, and वो तो definitely हर एक वैक्सीन की अपनी सक्सेस रेट बता ही रही है. तो लोगों को ये लग रहा है कि वैक्सीन लेके भी हम एकदम घूम सकते हैं हमें कुछ नहीं होगा ये भी गलत है.
Right,
Yeah.
And
right.
ये कहना कि वैक्सीन इनइफेक्टिव है ये भी गलत है.
In
Because
fact,
I
if
can
you,
speak in my own home, my mother got at least one dose and she had a very mild COVID. My father is a marathon runner. He's finished 85 marathons and he got COVID. He had a slightly more severe version than my mother. He said, I'm a runner, I have the best lungs, I have the best heart, but he had slightly more involvement. मैं कहा आप घर पे ही देख लीजिए. And my mother has other comorbidities. So I'm seeing it in my own home play out. One
Absolutely.
dose also can benefit you a lot. So there is no harm in taking it and continuing the precautions afterwards also.
Right.
Yes, in fact, one of my doctor friends, she told me that, people who are dying during this second wave are mostly those who are not vaccinated. So in fact, because she
Correct.
told me that, that's why I asked my other friend who lost her father-in-law that whether he was vaccinated. So she said that he was not vaccinated because he believed that vaccination that he didn't require the vaccination. So I think everybody requires the vaccination, and that is an important message which should go out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let me be a kindergarten kid. Just a question. Uh, have you doctors given it any time frame when India will be, back on its feet compared to, what we had during the first wave? How long the second wave is going to go? Although there's also talk about the third wave coming in. I mean, God forbid.
देखिए पिछले साल सबने कोशिश की प्रिडिक्ट करने की टुडे वी डोंट नो व्हाट हैज हैपेंड एंड लाइक आई सेड साइंस इज लर्निंग एवरी डे वी आर एनालाइजिंग द वेरिएंट्स एवरी डे all countries are working together to analyze variants every day so at least a year I think at least a year will still be required to maintain this level of restrictions and support and vaccination drive आई थिंक द बेस्ट बेट इज जब तक कि हम एक मेजोरिटी पूरी कंट्री की पॉपुलेशन को या तो वैक्सीनेशन से इम्यून न करा दे या तो वो इन्फेक्शन से रिकवर ना हो जाए जब तक कि 60-70% लोग इम्यून ना हो जाएं तब तक ये हाल चलते ही रहेगा सो दैट इज व्हाई आई एम सेइंग the last biggest pandemic that we study in books and all was the Spanish flu, which lasted a total of at least 2 to 3 years. It had 4 waves, and we are already finishing the second wave. Third wave might definitely come. We look at other countries. हम भूल जाते हैं कि बाकी दुनिया भी इससे जूझ रही है यूएस और यूके देव ऑल्सो हैड देयर सेकेंड थर्ड डेफिनेटली स्मॉलर वेव्स बट अब पॉपुलेशन अप्रोप्रिएट रही है बट उनकी भी मल्टीपल वेव्स में आ जाके चीजें अब बेटर हुई हैं so we have to brace ourselves for I would say at least 1-2 more waves might come after this and you have to have a long term थोड़ा marathon perspective कि okay we have to be like this
Right.
for some time longer and then it won't be here for 5 years 10 years वो कोई इतना नहीं कह रहा है maybe we are halfway through we might just be halfway through but let's not lose steam.
Okay, okay. And Gurpreet, another very important thing, these some posters are doing the rounds, where there was some misunderstanding कि ये जो the orphan बच्चे हैं, जिनके parents COVID deaths हो गई हैं, and those children, minor children, they are out for adoption, etc. And then there was a nice poster by somebody that this is you cannot just adopt any children because that will cause a child trafficking and other a lot of crime against the children.
Yes, I read
So,
about this in the news.
educate people on that that these children, of course, they are being handed over to the women and child ministry or boards and all. So people are spreading these rumors that okay, children are up for the adoption.
Yeah, in fact, that is unfortunate development that people do these kind of things because that later poster which you are talking about in which people have clarified that this is not to be done because it actually puts those children in danger of being trafficked because when you share the details of the persons in whose house the tragedy has taken place and that there are vulnerable children. So children in any case are vulnerable, and so if their details are given out in social media, so all these traffickers can make use of it and put them to more harm. And this thing about the adoption. So adoption can be done only through the government institutional mechanisms, and that is very well laid out. And Kara, and it cannot be done by anybody, and that would be illegal. So that is the thing in this. So, but otherwise, I would just like to mention that we have this helpline, Childline NGO is working on child rights. So anybody who has an issue regarding child facing any problems or this kind of issue, that they are a very good NGO, and they can give the right kind of guidance for adoption or those kind of things, and they are reliable also. Otherwise, you can always contact the local deputy commissioner or the SSP or the local police officials who can assist you in getting the right advice. So you're quite right that those are just scams and wrong things to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we end, do you have any question for Dr. Ishita? Gurpreet?
So Ishita, I think you have educated us a lot today, and I think it must be your first Instagram chat. So I hope you enjoyed talking to us, although
It's
on a
all
serious
thanks to
issue.
ma'am. I'm a recluse on social media. I'm not much of a Insta savvy or tech savvy kind of person, which might be a paradox of my generation. But Gurpreet ma'am reached out, and how can I ever say no? I've known her since I was a child myself. So it's always great to meet her and
So
discuss with her.
So
Absolutely.
we can digress a little bit from this, the topic of COVID, and ask you,
Yes.
Ishita, that do you think that we need very good doctors now in India? Looking at
I I
whether do we
think
need
we
to
have
increase
the
the
best
number of.
doctors anyways. I think we have the best doctors. I mean, look at all the other countries where Indian doctors go out and perform so brilliantly. I think we need a better opportunities. I think we need a better environment to retain them here. हमारे पास
No, but do
already
we
काफी
need
हैं.
more medical colleges? Do you need more medical colleges?
Absolutely,
See,
absolutely,
my
absolutely, we do.
my son is appearing for the medical entrance, and it is like a very difficult, competitive environment with lot of stress, and it's requiring a lot of reading,
Hmm.
going through numericals, and it is one of
Yes,
the, I would say, the toughest exams in the world.
it is.
So
It
I
is.
don't really owe it to our society to have better people, more people come in as doctors who are willing to become doctors, and
Yes.
open, like we are saying, that invest more in the healthcare sector,
Healthcare.
which includes
Yes.
opening up of more medical colleges, so that the children are not forced to abandon the medical stream for the simple reason that it is
And
too
the fear
competitive.
of the competition and the tough. Very true. Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Very true.
So
Right.
Already, some from since when I started till now, I've seen myself the call seats have increased. They're not doubled almost, but 1.5 times they have increased. They are increasing. So many colleges are opening up. Many new colleges which are not even heard of in Delhi, in other states, other cities also. Things are increasing because people do need to realize the doctor patient ratio इंडिया का बहुत ही कम है and population बढ़ती ही जा रही है. And a pandemic is this is the best trigger to for the government and the policy makers to realize from the top level to the lowest level.
I hope
Right.
that now, at least if these lessons were not learned last year, they have been learned this year by the
This year.
government and
And
all
if
this.
not now, then I don't think anyone can understand it. This is
Yeah.
the
Then we
most
will have to
severe
give up.
wake up call ever.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It is
Doctor,
a second wake up call now.
yeah, it is. It is definitely. No, and you cannot have at second time you cannot have any excuses. The first time pandemic happened, okay, it was the first for everyone. So you could say कि ठीक है, we are not prepared. Second time,
True.
you cannot say कि नहीं अभी ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर नहीं मिल रहे, हॉस्पिटल बेड्स नहीं है, ये नहीं. I mean, government had to be proactive, and think,
Yes.
1 year to think
Think
all this.
ahead.
Country like us.
And
So
Yeah.
everybody was working from home. Matlab the work was so limited. Everybody had so much free time. And not just the ministers, even the policy makers sitting at home, people should have come up with solutions and suggestions and prepared in advance. इतना तो खाली time था सबके पास.
very good, very good. In the
Yes.
end, Dr. Ishita, you have any last uh, give to the You have already said whatever you had to say, but something which you want to say as a person, as a doctor, and just tell them.
Just to continue having faith and continue believing that we all need to be in this together, and let's not put one life ahead of the other or one life behind the other. सबकी life valuable है, सबके घर वाले हैं, सब बहुत near dear वालों को lose कर रहे हैं every day. We should have continue to have respect for human life every day, and that this will take a lot more time, and we need to be patient. The
Right.
patients need to be patient, doctors need to be patient, everyone needs to be patient.
Yeah.
It,
Very rightly said, Ishita. Yeah.
Gurpreet, your last words to the viewers.
So my last word is that, protect yourself, protect your family, protect the society, and in the end, especially during this time when the second pandemic is on in its severest form, I would entreat everybody to, if they are not vaccinated, to try and get vaccinated. And secondly, to do the basic things, maintain hand hygiene, use an N95 mask. I repeat, not a cloth mask. Wear the mask
Yeah.
effectively. And as Ishita had said right in the beginning, that don't venture out of the house unless absolutely necessary. And if you do go out, come back and wash your hands and maintain the hygiene as far as possible.
Thank you
Yes,
very
ma'am.
much. And just for the viewers' information, also this chat is being live relayed by Sailor Today TV on YouTube. Also, my very dear friend Captain Nangia, who's the editor and owner of Sailor Today magazine, he is live relaying it right now. I don't know after we just went off whether they have been able to reconnect or not. But thank you to Captain Nangia, and thank you Gurpreet. You're always now
Thank you,
you
Captain Ravi.
host of mine, and next time you'll be the host, and I'll be your co-host. And thank you, Doctor.
You're
Wonderful.
most welcome. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
You
Okay,
guys are doing.
thank you, Ravi, and thank you, Ishita.
And Ishita, we cannot
And
thank you
thank
enough on behalf of the nation, the people of India. You doctors are the gods right now, and thank you so much for doing so much for the country. And you guys have you have put your everything. You have forgotten everything, and you have put your lives and your time and your energy into saving people. Thank you so much. And Gurpreet, so
Continue to
is
do
the police,
so.
and you are also the frontliners.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, thank you so much. And I thank the viewers who have been watching, and I hope it was informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Goodbye.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.